Hello, and welcome to Women's Head of the River 2026. We are again here on the rooftop of British Rowing, so thank you very much to them for hosting us again. I'm joined by Sasha Castelbranco. So Sasha discovered rowing at Hatfield College, Durham University, and then has discovered commentating on rowing in the last year or so, commentating at numerous British rowing events and at Henley Women's. I'm also joined by Eve Stewart, who I hope needs no introduction. So Eve, of course, won a fantastic bronze medal in the Women's 8 at the Paris Olympics and followed that up with another bronze medal at the World Rowing Championships, again in the Women's 8 last year. So thank you very much, Sasha and Eve, for joining us. And I'm going to go over to you guys a little bit. What are your expectations for the race? What are you most looking forward to seeing today?
I feel like the weather today has set it up for such a good racing experience for everyone. There's a bit of a tailwind coming through here, the sun's shining, and of course with the pretty quick tide stream at the moment, I think we can expect some fast times today, which I'm pretty excited about.
Yeah, we've definitely had the records sheet coming up, so we're going to be looking at our stopwatches and hoping for some of those really big times. I know that I'm really looking forward to kind of the junior crews. I know we've had a few kind of juniors, well, obviously a few juniors racing yesterday, and so it will be interesting to see where those 8s landed yesterday and where they'll land today in comparison.
So, of course, I think you mentioned before we went on air Headington racing today, having just lost out yesterday to Shiplake. Do you think, they'll have some sort of fire there today to, see if they can change that, well, not change that result, but, avenge that performance?
I mean, Shiplake doesn't look like they're on the roster today, so they might have a bit of a chance, and they're starting 27th, so there will be a lot of kind of big, bulky club talent pushing them up the river, and I'm hoping that will kind of really fire them up. But LEH and Teddy's, who are kind of just a few crews behind, and were, I think, in 3rd and 4th yesterday, will probably be really trying to kind of bump themselves up as well. I know that I'm also really looking forward to, I think as most people are, just watching those kind of first 10 crews come past. It's always wonderful, especially as a rower who's rowed this course a couple of times, to just watch kind of the pinnacle of women's rowing come past. And I know that we've been talking about this being the biggest global women's rowing event, and so just to kind of see the display of teamwork and strength from women on the course today, it will be fantastic.
Yes, I believe, like we're saying, biggest women's rowing event as well. 327 crews today, at least 2,616 women if every cox was a man, and I'm sure the majority of the coxes will be women as well, which pushes us up to about 2,900 athletes out there on the water today. And thinking of those sort of top crews, the first few that will be coming down, Eve, I know you train and race with some of the athletes on board those crews day in, day out. So what can you tell us about some of those crews? Of course, Leander off first, biggest national team presence in that crew. Who's in that boat and who will be pushing them?
Yeah, I think, as you said, a lot of national team rows in a lot of the top crews at the moment. I'm actually really excited to see how it pans out today, because obviously traditionally Leander has been the crew with perhaps the biggest stream of national team athletes that come in and out of the club, but Molesey actually has got quite a large number of them this year again. I think like 4 or 5, a few athletes who are also bordering on getting into the team. Olympic medalist Holly Dunford is in the Molesey crew, so be really exciting. And then just a bit further down the line in the Marlow A boat, we actually have Annie Campbell-Lord, who stroked the 8 in Paris to a bronze medal, and Martha Birtles, who won a bronze medal last year in the 8. And then in the Brooks 8 we've also got Imogen Grant rowing, and Frankie Allen is in one of the Brooks 8s as well. So there's a pretty great spread of people, which I think could just be really exciting in terms of how we end up placing today. So I can't wait to see it.
So we've just been informed Leander are spinning onto the start, so I think that gives us a little over 10 minutes until the crews will be coming past us in Hammersmith here. So going on with some of the other categories, in terms of the university crews, I saw Cambridge starting very high up the order. Do we think that's their full blue boat lineup today?
I think it will be, given that they announced their blue boat lineup just last week. I have a feeling this will probably be their debut race altogether. I'm especially excited to see that boat because their cox, Matt Moran, was also at Hatfield, and so it's just been brilliant watching him go from a college cox to a university cox, winning Henley with Thames, and he's now in the blue boat. I know that he's absolutely so over the moon to be in there, and I think that they have a very good chance of winning, especially because I think last year they were really pushing the club crews as well. I think they were less than a second off
Were
of
they
Thames.
fourth, I think?
Yeah.
Third or fourth last year?
Yeah, and so it was just another brilliant boat to be watching. I think the Brooks B crew is the other one in contention for club university.
Yeah.
So it will be interesting to see how they're kind of lining up against each other, because I know Brooks will have their eye on the prize.
And do you think anyone else will be pushing onto the tails, or trying to get past those two university crews from the other university entries?
I mean, I don't know about you, Eve, but I think probably Edinburgh, Newcastle,
Yeah.
Durham. I mean, I've got a little bit of bias from the Northeast cruise, but I know that they have done exceptionally well in some recent head races up on the Tyne. So, and I think especially for coming down this far south to race, you don't want to go away empty-handed.
No.
Yeah, so Eve, I mean, talk to me about doing this race. If you were up at the start line now, spinning onto the start, going through Chiswick Bridge, what's going through your head? What are you sort of looking to do as you get onto the course for this long race?
I mean, I think obviously your stomach at that point is like a washing machine. The nerves are there, you're filled with adrenaline, you've probably taken some caffeine, whatever, supplements, or lots of coffees. So the nerves will definitely be ready. But I think sitting on the start line is actually, it's like one of the worst feelings, but also one of the best, because you rarely get into that sort of frame of mind where everything is so heightened and you're just ready to go. And I think a head race is really interesting as well, because obviously it's not 2 kilometers, it takes almost double the time, and getting yourself in the mindset to step into that pain cave, it's a daunting front, but these athletes will obviously be really well seasoned and absolutely ready to take it on.
And what's it like sort of training your whole season for those 2k races in the summer and then jumping in a boat and doing 6.8k instead? Is that a bit of a different game, or?
Yeah, I think obviously the way you go after it is a bit different. You're probably not pulling out your start for as long as you would in a 2k race. You're coming onto a sort of sustainable rhythm, but I think our coaches always say, if that rhythm feels easy, if what you're doing feels easy, you're doing it wrong. Like, you have to be towing the red line the whole way down the course. And I think the lineups, as we've said, are so competitive this year, so no crew will get away with not towing that red line and finishing the race on the other side of it. So yeah, it's definitely a different beast, but it's always fun to do.
I feel like that's the really interesting thing, especially for any non-rowers watching. If you're tuning in for friends and family, you have no idea what's going on. The idea of rowing almost 7 kilometres in that, as we call it, the pain cave is, why would you do it? But that kind of that adrenaline kick, and I think especially in an 8s race when you've really been kind of training in those big boats for this, and you have that trust in your team, you can't not do it for them, and that's why you end up over the line, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, totally agree. And I think something that's really special about 8s as well is when you do tap into that rhythm, even though it's not easy, there is just something magical about it. Like, it's why people love watching 8s races, it's why people love watching the boat race. There's something special about 8s, the noise, the energy, and just, it really carries you away, even though obviously you're the one creating it every stroke. It doesn't go without the effort, but there's something special about it for sure.
And obviously every boat today will have a cox. What can you tell us about the importance of a cox in this race with the bends, long race down a river rather than a straight line, and what would you look for from a cox coming down this course as a rower in the boat?
Well, I mean, I'm obviously no cox. I've never coxed a boat, but I think this must be one of the most exciting races for a cox in the season, because it's so tactical. The line you take is so important. I mean, you've obviously coxed this race yourself in the past. It can make such a difference how you take the bends. So there's a whole additional element in it, again, that you don't get in a 2k race, because you're just going in a straight line. And as a cox, I mean, if you're not going in a straight line, you've done it wrong. But I think in terms of what they're saying, you're always looking for a cox to just be able to feed back what you've already agreed on as a crew. You make your plan beforehand, and then the cox is the one with the voice. So they are just there to give you the race plan, give you technical feedback, keep you honest as well. If you're coming off split or you're slowing down, you need to know about it, because there's no crew next to you to give you that feedback. So a cox is so essential in this race.
I think another thing as well is, without having the kind of crews either side of you to really keep you in check, coxes have to really know what they're doing, not only in moving out of the racing line if they're being overtaken, but also getting back into the stream as quickly as possible. And I think that that's something that a lot of kind of maybe newer coxes can struggle with a little bit on the tideway. I mean, I know that up north we do a lot of training on the Tyne just to try and get a little bit of that tidal experience, but it's just nothing like the beast that is the Thames. I did a little bit of coxing for some kind of regattas just because I feel like as a rower that, you know, not when maybe you're training for things like the women's 8 at Paris, but it's just nice to kind of see what's on the other side.
Yeah.
And I'm almost more exhausted when I come out of a race coxing it than I am rowing, because rowing, it's a very physical game, and you just do what you're told. You know, you have to really have your race plan in your head, but as a cox, just kind of every tiny minute change, you know, it all sits on you as well. And so, you know, you often hear people talking about bad racing lines, and sometimes that can be from imbalances, but a lot rides on the cox, I think, especially when it comes to big races like this. So it's a very important and impressive role, I think, to be taking.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more.
No bias there from you at all there.
No. And we were looking at some of the sort of history and stats for this race just before we came on air. I think we said it's the 99th year of the race.
Yeah.
I think this race now, it often attracts more entries than the men's 8's head, which we'll see in a couple of weeks. We've obviously seen the announcement earlier this season that Henley Royal Regatta's bringing in more women's events and making those final moves to complete parity. And also I was watching the schools head yesterday, and there were even more women's crews than I've ever seen before, and new categories there. So what can we say about sort of the significance of this event for women's rowing and the growth of women's rowing, even in the last few years? I think almost in some years outnumbering the number of men competing.
I mean, I remember last year women's 8 fell on International Women's Day, and the energy that you were kind of walking through, especially walking through Putney, there was just so much joy. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that obviously it's really important to reach gender parity so that everyone has equal opportunity to be able to race, to have the same opportunities. But I think that there's something really to be said of just the joy of this sport. Like, it's such a team-based sport, and I think that unless you've done it, you don't know the joy of just crossing that finish line and just kind of exploding with happiness. And it's not just your happiness, it's everyone's. And so I think having such a massive event just to kind of celebrate women's rowing and, as I said, strength and power, it's just, I mean, for me as someone who doesn't row anymore and just watches, like the atmosphere is electric, and bringing that to other people outside of rowing, I think there's something there that people can just really...
It's palpable, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah, just to hop on that, I feel like last year when we were rowing up to the start, I'm a big softie, but passing so many women and everyone was cheering each other on, and I actually had like a bit of a tear in my eye, because I was like, this is incredible. What else would you rather be doing on International Women's Day? Obviously this year not racing on International Women's Day, but I think that emotion stays the same, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I can't comment as well as you two. I think we can just see the first crews coming around the bend, Hammersmith Bend now. So we will very shortly be bringing you pictures of them. So I can see the Cerise blades of the Leander 8 approaching. So Eve, and Sasha, can you tell us a little bit about who's in this crew? What's going to be going on in that crew as they come around this Hammersmith Bend through the middle of the race?
Yeah, well, at the moment they'll already be in a whole lot of pain, I can tell you that for free. Lizzie Witt is actually stroking this crew with Cam Nyland, who is normally on her day-to-day life on the team a sculler, so she's done an absolutely amazing job. She also won Fours Head this year, so she's having a fun year doing both. It's great to see. They look pretty good from here. The blades are looking nice and clean. The wind looks like it might be giving them a nice little tail push. I don't know, what do you think?
I mean, I don't know about you, but as soon as I heard that the boats are coming past and I could see them in the distance, there's such a kind of an electricity that fills you, because you know what it's like to be in that position. And I mean, you're so right. As they're coming past, they just look clean. And I think the mark of brilliant rowing is that when you're in that boat, it's horrible.
Yeah.
It hurts. Everything hurts. You feel like you are on the edge of death. But to the naked eye from the side, it looks effortless. And I think that's what can really be said about this boat. It just looks smooth. You know, all the blades are... I mean, it's just beautiful rowing. I think you obviously know more about what it's like to be in kind of boats of this caliber, but just wow.
No, it does look great. And in that boat, we've got Juliette Perry, Philippa Emery, Georgie Robson Ranger, Lauren Carey, Catherine George, Lauren Irwin, Olympic bronze medalist, Cam Nyland, and Lizzie Witt stroking it with Jack Totham coxing it. So it is a whopper of a lineup. And as a fellow Leander athlete, I am hedging my bets. I hope they win this one. But we've got Thames coming down here, who last year came second, only 5 seconds behind the winning Leander crew, which had a pretty stacked lineup full of Olympic medalists in it. So this Thames crew will definitely not be one to underestimate this year either.
Yeah, I mean, so Thames are coming underneath Hammersmith Bridge now. Again, they've got the same kind of strength and length in their stroke that just really kind of shows that good. I mean, to get to this point in a race, you're about 6k in, and to still look so effortless from the bank is really impressive. And we've got a pretty similar display coming up from this Cambridge boat, crew number 3, coming underneath Hammersmith.
And this is exciting, isn't it? Because this is their blue boat. This boat will be taking it on in the boat race in a few weeks' time, so I'm sure this is a very important one for them. They'll be wanting to feel every stroke, wanting to feel that pain, push themselves to the absolute limit so that they're prepared in a few weeks against Oxford.
Now, I know that you were saying earlier that you think Molesey and Leander are going to be really against each other for that top spot of women's head of the river. As Molesey come past, what can you tell us about who's in that crew?
Well, it's got Megan Slabbert stroking it. She stroked the 8 at World Champs last year with Holly Yowd, Flo Donald, Holly Dunford, Ang Harrod, a whole list of incredible athletes. Jade Linder, who also raced at the World Championships this year. So I'm excited for them as well.
It will be so exciting to see when the results come in, who has got those coveted 1, 2, 3. I know that I did a bit of predicting myself, and I think it's probably going to be Leander, Thames and Molesey in some interaction. I know that you were in the Leander boat last year, and you were saying it's really hard to come into these races where you've got everything to lose.
It is, yeah. Being a defender is so much harder than being a chaser, and I also think WEHORR, it's such a difficult race because when you're in it, as we said, you're not next to anyone, so all you can feel is the pain and how hard it is. So it's very hard to gauge whether you are going fast enough, but you just have to make sure that you lay it down every single stroke.
Absolutely. And I think Leander especially, you've won every year for the last 10 years that the race has run. So
I think this would be the 10th.
Will it?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
If they win. So yeah, it's exciting. Here we've just got the Leander B boat, which is actually the first 8 of the club athletes. A few of them shifted up into that sort of more Caversham-based crew due to illness and injury, but they look great as well. Real testament to sort of what they're doing, how hard the women train at Leander. I mean, they look really great. Yeah,
and a big shout out to Liv Caesar in the stroke seat there, a fellow commentator of ours who's just as good behind the mic as she is on the water. We've got the Leander C crew, and I think also just to mention that we had Oxford Brookes A come past. Now, Oxford Brookes University A crew is actually not racing for the student pennant because
they've got Imogen Grant in it.
Exactly, yes. Not full student boat, but we do have... Is that the UL crew coming past? Oh, I don't know about you. I'm just so excited to be in the sun and kind of seeing just some great rowing. And from our vantage point on the British rowing rooftop, we have a fantastic view of Hammersmith Bridge, which is absolutely packed with supporters screaming for... Yeah.
It's giving me chills, actually.
I know.
How great is that
Yeah.
to see this coming out here for women's rowing? Beautiful Saturday in
Saturday.
London.
Yeah,
So
and
swept
it's...
away. I can't remember what day it is.
I know, it's just so exciting to be here. I think a fantastic thing is that as the crews come past, you hear a lot of shouts on the bridge. Now, statistically speaking, it won't be every single boat that has some supporters on this bridge. There are lots of bridges along this course. And so it's just really nice to see all of the support that you have along the banks and on the bridges. And I think that's a real testament to the sport of rowing, of just how much camaraderie there is.
Absolutely. I think here we've got another Molesey boat coming down, which they are rowing really nicely, really flat, lovely hang, great rhythm, a real testament to Sam Tuck and the coaching team there, who have obviously really developed the women's programme over the past few years. So
I think this might be the first of those northeastern crews you mentioned, Newcastle University.
Oh yes, with their very famous Blue Star on the blade. The Blue Stars are doing a very good job, I have to say. And we've got a couple of boats down from them, Edinburgh. Really, gosh, they are coming into Hammersmith, and it looks like they're kind of pulling up the pace now.
Yeah, it does.
As we get down to these kind of into the 10s and the 20s of the boats, you can see that there is just that little more effort needed to kind of move the boat, whereas in those kind of top 10 it just looked so fluid.
It did. Although I will say this Edinburgh crew I think is doing a really nice job of just staying super flat off the front, driving with the legs. I think that's really tidy.
I think they were the winners of Buckshead a couple of weeks ago, weren't they?
Oh,
so
well,
they
there
could
you
be
go. There you go.
challenging
They're on
the
good
North
form.
Eastern
Yeah.
Blues.
We've got the second of the Cambridge Blues boats now. Do we think that this is going to be the reserve crew? Yes.
I think this might well be Blondie, mightn't it?
Blondie, sorry.
And is this the Brooks student boat chasing them down?
They look like they're making good headway there, that Brooks boat.
Yes. Now, this Brooks boat is that B crew that we talked about that is, I think, going to really try and challenge Cambridge. They want to win the university pennant. They've got quite a few big names in that boat. We've got Frankie Allen, who is Paralympic gold medalist in the Paris 4, and quite a few people in that crew who have gone to under 23s. Megan Walsh as a double UT3s for the US, and we've got, as always with Brooks, quite a few kind of Henley Women's and Henley Royal wins.
Absolutely, they have such depth in their programme, and I think it's always really great to see them show up with so many 8s, so that's very exciting.
Who have we got coming up now? That looks
Another
to be...
Thames crew.
Yes.
I must say, I think just in general, we've obviously talked about the amount of women competing here today. To see so many clubs field so many 8s is amazing. I love to see it. And you just know that within those squads, women will be pushing so hard. We always say a squad is only as good as its sort of bottom ranked athlete, because everyone pushes everyone up, and it's just great to see everyone out here racing.
I think in terms of clubs that have fielded so many athletes, Vesta is our champion this year for how many boats they have entered. Vesta have entered 8 8s.
Wow.
Yeah. One of them in the beginner category, but so many 8s.
That's amazing.
It's just brilliant to see kind of that level of dedication in a club as well.
Yeah.
A huge shout out to one of the women's captains at Vesta, Kira Gilryan, who, one of my favourite people on earth. I did a lot of rowing with her at uni. She captained our Senate squad at Durham, which is kind of like a college, essentially a mishmash crew of just anyone who wanted to row at a slightly higher level but not for the university teams, and that bred just so many wonderful friendships, and that's kind of the friendship group that we've left uni with, and it just kind of is
so
testament
nice.
to rowing,
Yeah,
isn't it? It's what brings you together.
It absolutely is.
I don't know about you, but I love having the sun out because it means you can properly see all of the athletes in their colours.
I know,
and
it's amazing, isn't it?
Tideway scullers in their kind of yellow and red.
And this is Imperial drawing very close to them,
yes.
I think, isn't it? That looks like that might be an overtake before they get to the end of the course.
If we look actually just round the bend, there are 2 crews who are very close together, and that might be an overtake there as well.
They really are.
The one bad thing of being so far away from the river is that we actually don't have very good sight of the bow numbers.
No, I was just going to say, can anyone tell me what bow number that is?
I think we're up to 26 there. I think that's
26.
the UL second boat. They're looking to make the people's hearts proud and make their coach Stu Pearce proud. They would also like to put their blades in, they say. Well, I think they are doing
I
that.
think
They are
very
doing
well,
a
and I think
very
they'll
good job.
Definitely be making their coach proud, because that looks like a lovely sweeping rhythm coming under Hammersmith.
That looks like a crew from Bristol University chasing them under Hammersmith. We've now got the first of the junior crews, Headington School, coming past us and looking very strong. Perhaps tired legs from having done this course
I don't know
yesterday
how
and
they're
doing it
doing
again
that.
today. But
I wouldn't be
There they
able
are.
to do that.
That is
No.
so impressive, and a massive testament to junior rowing in this country, I think. To be able to be fit enough to come down this course 2 days after in a row, that is impressive.
And also, given where we are in the season, the likelihood is that almost all of those athletes are going to be under 18, and so to be that young and this far up the draw
I know.
and really holding your place is just so impressive. And I think we can definitely look towards these kind of really successful junior crews to see who our next generation of rowers are going to be.
I totally agree. It's so good to look at, and I mean, it's always great when you see names appear, sort of 5-8 years later for future Olympic cycles. I'm sure there will be a lot of women and girls here racing for these junior crews who will be big names later on.
I think we've just seen Nottingham Rowing Club there, so I think they're the first provincial club, so a club not rowing on the Thames, to come down the course.
Ooh, a fun fact that I actually received from the Nottingham crew a couple of days ago. their two-seat Liz last raced WEHORR in 2008 when she won the whole thing with Oxford. So brilliant to have Liz back on the course. I hope that she is doing her memory proud and that it's kind of nice to get back onto the course. But apparently that year was the same year that their four-seat was born. So great to have so much depth.
And here in front of us, we've actually just got the Marlow Rowing Club crew, so go Swans. This has, as I said earlier, got Annie Campbell-Lord, who stroked my women's 8 to a bronze medal in Paris in the stroke seat. It's got Martha Birtles in it, Abby Bird, Marin, a whole field of amazing athletes, girls who work full-time as well. But just, I think Marlow in general, it's been so amazing to see how that program has developed over the past few years. Like from winning Henley medals, their women's squad has just grown massively. I think they're doing a great job of all of it. And
they are a very dedicated club. My mum rose at the Masters in Marlow, and she's currently out on injury, classic. But she just says that everyone is so lovely and so dedicated, and it's just really nice to have a club like that. I will just bring our attention to what is going on here. This is incredible. We've got, I think, a Cambridge crew, potentially a Brest and Oxford Brooks crew. We've then got 3 crews abreast. That looks like it's...
I can see a City of Oxford crew in the middle there, I think.
Gosh.
I think that might be another Thames crew on the far side. And is that number 32? No,
this
it's
Cambridge,
not 32.
This Cambridge crew
We're getting the binoculars out.
It's Henley Rowing Club A. So that's another junior crew. So they might be looking to chase down Headington and
absolutely
really sharp-looking junior crew there.
Now it looks like
they're making some overtakes on City of Oxford.
Yeah, so Henley juniors, they are crew 37, and the City of Oxford crew that they've overtaken is 34. So I think Henley will definitely be challenging Headington for that pennant for the schools.
Now that is some ferocious racing. Also just having to overtake that many crews. It's not easy, you know, people get in your line. It inevitably slows you down a little bit when you're rowing in dirty water. So to overtake that many of them, that's good work.
Right, I have to say this. This is the Vesta crew coming up. This is Vesta's A boat. In there you will have Lauren Church and Kira Gilryan, 2 staunch Hatfield College rowers. Lauren actually started in the novice team in her final year and just thought she'd give it a go. And she worked her way up to, I think, qualifying and getting to really quite late on into the Henley Women's Final in her first year rowing at Vesta, and is now, I think, the 2-seat of their first 8. And so just watching her journey go from kind of novice with no idea of what rowing was to this has just been really fantastic to watch.
That's amazing. It's how rowing gets you though, isn't it? You know, one day you're getting in the boat for a first time and 10 years later you're still getting in the same boat.
Yeah, tell us about that. How did you get into rowing? What kind of sparked it off for you at first?
I'd sort of been told my whole life that I was tall and should try rowing, and originally thought it looked really boring, so avoided it at all costs. Grew up in Amsterdam, and then one summer was actually visiting family friends in Marlow, so got in my first quad ever at Marlow with my friends and their dad actually, and just absolutely loved it. Went back home, joined a club, and haven't looked back since.
Yeah, well, you've got quite a lot to show for it, haven't you?
But most of all, it's just been something that has brought so much joy and amazing experiences as well. I think, as you said earlier, the friendships you form, just the experience, training that hard with people with like-minded sort of ideals and goals, it's really special.
I think you're so right. It really brings a kind of there's a huge variety of people who row, but there is a kind of a real baseline measure for who a person is if they love rowing, because there's a kind of a dedication, a commitment, and a real calm that you have to be able to just, step into a boat. And I mean, obviously here we've got pennants to go for, and if you get kind of in the 1, 2, 3 spots, there's a lot. But with most races, if you don't win, you've lost.
Yeah.
And to be able to do it again and again, it's, it takes a certain kind of
building,
person.
as we said, isn't
Yes, absolutely.
Just looking here, we've got a very exciting overtake situation going on with 2 crews rowing abreast for, the past sort of 100, 200 metres. So that is going to be an exciting one. And as you just look further down the course, beyond the Hammersmith Bridge, there's still some really intense, for lack of a better word, sort of battling going on, to be honest. A lot of crews really side by side, fighting it out, trying to get their bows ahead.
Just a reminder to anyone watching the live stream, if you want really fantastic quality photos of all of your friends and family and loved ones racing, then head to the AllMarkOne website. Thanks to everyone who is watching so far. It feels like we've got a lot of people just really engaging with this, and it's just brilliant to have people kind of involved with this amount of rowing.
Now this is amazing to see as well. I'm just reading some of the comments on the live stream, and we have Richard Granger who is watching from Egypt. Now the fact that WEHORR is reaching Egypt, I'd say that's a win in and of itself.
Just while we've got a slight gap here, just to add to those photos, we've got 2 photographers out there today, one on the bank and one on Hammersmith Bridge, and we have Rory shooting some 4K slow-mo video clips from the start at Chiswick Bridge. So do go and check those out on our website. The link is on the bottom of the screen, and you can get all the photos from the bridge and the bank and the video clip together in one package, which will save you a lot of money and only works out at a few pounds per head for an 8 today. So do check those out.
It looks fantastic on Instagram, although they have caught some of my slightly worse sides. I think, you know, you don't always look completely put together when you're rowing, do you?
But it's part of the fun.
Yeah. Now I think on the screen here is crew 48, is that? 48. So University of Birmingham A. Birmingham, I think, also have another really good example of a squad with a huge amount of depth. I know that I think one of my top rowing moments overall, even including my own, is last year I was on the launch for the lightweight doubles final at Henley Women's. And the Birmingham crew, I don't think Birmingham have won anything at Henley Women's in quite some time. And it was just a battle from the start. The crews did not, it was like Velcro. They were just together the entire way down. And it was just at the end that Birmingham just pulled something out of somewhere and they surged forward. And I've just never seen so much joy on people's faces. And everyone in the launch was crying. The umpire was crying. The commentators were crying. And it was such a beautiful moment to be a part of. And I think it's just real testament to kind of the hard work that people do to get here. So well done, Birmingham.
So we've just got a bit of a gap in the racing at the moment. We'll give you a bit of shout out. So thank you to everybody who sent in bits and pieces for the commentary. Sorry if we've missed some crews. Obviously there's a lot of crews coming through here, so it's quite difficult to give every single person a shout out. But yeah, we'll quickly run through some of them. Let's have a look. Who have we got here? I saw my old crew, like my old club Nottingham, going past before, so shout out to the Cox there, Millie. She spent many, many hours in the passenger seat of my car as I took her to training, so shout out to her and the rest of the girls over there. Who have we got? We have City of Cambridge, went past just before. We've got a City of Cambridge guy up here, we've got Alex up here, so shout out to his club. What did they say they wanted to achieve this year? It says that, big shout out to Katie. She's got purple belt in karate. Good for her. What else have we got?
Apologies that you are seeing our kind of hunched over posture at the moment. It's hard to look at screens in the middle of the sunshine. But just to go through some of the comments, a huge thank you to everyone who is watching internationally. As Eve said, we had someone from Egypt, and then to those watching from Melbourne, welcome. Go Mercs. I don't know if that's the rowing club that you're with, but it's my club in Australia. So, thanks so much for joining in. I hope that it's not too late where you are.
Or early, for that matter.
Yes.
Right, here we've got bow number 53 coming down the course. We had a bit of a break, as we said, between some of the crews here, but they are absolutely sending it along. And actually, I think looking really nice entries on the blade there. Pretty smooth, nice rhythm. I think, as you can see here, they've got a bit of flat water ahead of them, and they're just really using that to their advantage.
You unfortunately don't have the beautiful sight that we do, but it is the Cambridge D boat that is currently coming underneath Hammersmith Bridge. Now, I wonder if their C or D crew is maybe one of their lightweight crews. I know that it's been really good that there is still some lightweight rowing that people are able to get involved with, given that it's been cut from the Olympic programme. But it's great to be able to make space to have as many new categories as possible, so that people have the equal opportunity to be able to make it to that point. Yes, that's the Cambridge boat right there on the screen. Gosh, we've got amazing international representation. We've got people from the US, from Pakistan, from Scotland, Denmark. Budapest as well. Well, I hope that you're all either enjoying some fantastic holidays or are just really committed to the cause in rowing.
I love it. It's so great to see everyone coming out with some amazing support for these women. As I said earlier, this is just like Cambridge crew coming in front of us. I think really nice rhythm. They're obviously doing something right at Cambridge because they've had an incredible few years. So once again, very excited to see how the boat race plays out in a few weeks' time. So just for anyone watching who may be asking themselves why Oxford is not here, they're actually at the Heineken Cup in Amsterdam, in my hometown, where they are racing a 5k, 2.5k, a 750 metre sprint and a 250 metre sprint this weekend.
All in a day's work.
I know. I guess, obviously a shame to not see their amazing women's squad here. Really great friend of mine in that boat as well, Miss Heidi Long. Amazing athlete, incredible woman. But they are racing there. I guess, if Cambridge and Oxford were both here today, it would just be a sort of boat race, wouldn't it? So it's good to keep them separate, keep the tension building. Exciting stuff ahead.
I think that's the wonderful thing is that they have kind of, I think it will be the women's Cambridge cruise and then the men's cruise from Oxford, just so that we can, you get a little bit of a taste of what is happening within those programmes. You can see them doing kind of the course but back to front, and so it just gives people a little bit of a taste of what they can expect.
Yeah, absolutely. And here we have crew 57 on the screen. 56 on the screen. Thames Rowing Club. F.
So next coming down the course will be crew 57 from Mortlake. They sent in some bits and bobs about them. So they are hoping to qualify 2 crews for Henley Regatta this year, so good luck to those ladies.
Lots of luck.
Yeah, big luck. And then after them you've got crew 58 who have set their sights even higher. They would like to win Henley. So good luck to the UL crew. They should be coming up on the screen very shortly.
That's fantastic. And UL obviously also all university students, so competing in that field.
I feel like it has to really be said that obviously you've got a huge range of rowers here. You've got school rowers who do this alongside their schooling, but I feel like university rowers are especially impressive because often they come from also very high performing universities. They have a lot of academic expectation on them, and then to be rowing at this level and balancing the two and potentially having a job on the side so that they can fund all of that, because travel is travel costs in the UK. It's just really wonderful to see them come out and have that dedication to this as well. And so I think it's why you see a lot of rowers kind of going into high-powered positions after work.
Absolutely. It's a full-time, it's like 3 full-time schedules, isn't it? So to be able to balance all of that alongside each other and still do it all at such a high level, it's a testament to these people.
I know, I left uni and I suddenly went, I started my first job and I went, God, there's not a lot happening, is there? I suddenly have a very free schedule.
Yeah, that is definitely a unique thing about this event. It's one of the only events where you have beginners racing against Olympians, and it makes it so much more exciting to watch and see a big breadth of competition coming down the course as well.
Agree. And also just as an athlete, an amazing thing to participate in. I know, back when I first started rowing, even just like seeing an Olympian or a national team athlete walking around was such an incredible thing, and you sort of just thought, oh well, maybe I could just watch and do a bit more like they're doing. So to all be competing on the same day in the same event, with like half an hour between an 8th 8 and a sort of Olympic level, almost bordering on Olympic level 8 is really special for all the athletes.
I think you're so right, and I think it's, as you say, a very unique thing about rowing is that you just wouldn't really get that in a lot of other sports, especially at a very amateur level. And I remember my first WEHORR, I think the first crew to go off was the Rio Olympic 8, and I hadn't realised, and someone mentioned it, and to be at such an early stage in my kind of rowing journey and seeing that level, I thought, that's what I want to do, that's what I want to be. And even until recently, if you've seen any, not embarrassing at all, interviews from me at the British Indoors, I still have gotten really excited about seeing people who are in their prime at rowing, because it's just really cool that people do that. Like, that's kind of the dream, isn't it? Find something that you love and just do your best. I mean,
Absolutely.
You've got an Olympic medal. That must just be incredible.
It still doesn't really feel like it's actually me, because you don't the way that you view Olympians when you're younger, like I don't feel like that person, but yeah, it's obviously incredible. It was an amazing experience, and did it with just the most amazing team around me, so it made it all the more special. So here we have another very exciting overtake about to happen, I think.
Now that is crew 73 and 71. Now that does not surprise me at all. I believe actually it might be 72 because I can see the aggressive red unisuits of, is that Collingwood Rowing Club? Now, I no longer can have a vendetta against them because my partner was their men's captain. A lot of my best friends rowed at Collingwood, but yeah, they were the crew to beat at Durham. And they were the ones that came onto the scene and were like, hey guys, and won everything.
Well, they look like they were doing a good job of it today.
Yeah, absolutely.
And here we have crew number 74 coming just under Hammersmith, 78, sorry, coming under Hammersmith Bridge. It feels like the wind's picked up a bit, just looking up here, looking at the water, a few more ripples on it, but, for these athletes, I'm sure they won't be upset about that because that means more tailwind and faster speeds, so they'll be enjoying that, I'm sure.
I feel like that's the thing. Often when people don't know a huge amount about rowing, they think that what you want is completely clear, completely dry, completely flat, no wind at all. But if you have that wind pushing you along, it kind of gives you the confidence that you're not alone in that race. So obviously with this you've got 8 other athletes in the crew with you, but yeah, having a little bit of a push from Mother Nature is never bad.
So we've just seen crew 74 go past from Oxford University, and that is both the lightweight and the open weight spares for the 2026 boat race. So it's great to see them going past.
And I think what you'll also see, just talking about the wind and the conditions here a bit today, tailwind conditions often push crews closer together. So I think we can expect to see a lot of times really competitive with each other, really, as we've seen in a lot of these crews, overlapping each other, pushing each other on. It makes for very exciting racing.
Crew 79 just coming past the crew from Royal Chester. Molly Garbett there, I think she will be in the 5 seat. She is an absolute powerhouse of the Royal Chester crew, and they have 5 of their Henley Royal Wargrave qualifiers from last year in that boat alongside some new recruits. It was a really fantastic year for Royal Chester last year because it was the first time I think that they'd ever qualified a women's crew for Henley Royal. So again, another really wonderful experience for them, and I'm sure that they will be really building on everything that they got from Henley Royal and translating it into this head race.
Right, and we've actually, sorry we went quiet there for a minute, we were just bringing in the results, which we now have. They are up on the website, and Leander Club A took the win, with University of London coming in second and Molesey coming in third. And I mean, I have to say, University of London, that is incredible. They must have had an absolute stormer of a race. That's amazing. They'll be absolutely buzzing with that, won't they?
Yeah, I mean, that was what the silence was, as we were looking at the results and going, oh my gosh. I mean, Leander and Molesey, we knew that it was going to be a bit of a kind of a back and forth there of who was going to get it. And from the timings, it looks like there was about just under 10 seconds between Leander and Molesey, and a little bit more lead time between Leander and the second crew, which I think will have been nice for them. But wow, to come up from bow number 9 to come in second.
I love it. I'm absolutely obsessed with this. Sorry.
This
and
is
just to
fantastic.
reiterate that, I mean, we obviously said some amazing athletes in all of these in all of the crews, but in all of these top crews specifically. And that University of London boat was finished in a time of 18:26.9, with that Molesey crew with some national team athletes in it, 18:27.1. Now, I know listening to this, you're like, you may be asking the question, how does that happen? You know, how is it possible that some national team athletes aren't winning this? But I think what really needs to be looked at here is, we were talking earlier about when you get an 8 moving, it's sort of magic, isn't it? You create a rhythm, it sucks you in, and you can perform sort of better than your crew maybe should technically on paper. And I think this is an amazing example of exactly that happening, because this crew, they've obviously put in loads of work, created an absolute unit with each other, found an amazing rhythm, and just sent it down this course, and it's paid off.
I mean, I'm slightly speechless, which, if you know me personally, you know that doesn't happen very often. It's just absolutely phenomenal. Clearly something has come together there, and that will be amazing to see now what that UL8 go on and do at Henley Women's and Henley Royal.
Absolutely.
You know, do we have a challenger there for Oxford Brookes in the Temple category, in the Island category? Sorry.
Definitely. And obviously just a massive well done to everyone who's competed today. I think, you know, as we're saying time and time again, the fact that there are over 300 crews here racing their hearts out, it's amazing to see, and it's amazing for women's sports.
Absolutely. I think also it's really important as a reminder that actually you can kind of get into rowing whenever you want. I mean, you know, you have people who are rowing in the Masters Cruise here who may have actually started rowing, you know, in the last season. So it's really, you know, it's a fantastic sport because there are so many options for where you can kind of come in and compete that you can really, start whenever you want. I mean, I only started rowing in my kind of the latter half of my first year at uni, and I still was able to go and row at kind of Henley Women's, and you know, obviously I get involved with this kind of level of rowing as well, and so it's just really exciting. And if you haven't ever given rowing a go, it doesn't matter how tall you are or you know what your sporting experience is, give it a go. It's a sit down sport, and you know, the people are cracking.
We've talked a little bit about sort of the rhythm in crews, right? And I think that's something that you're seeing today a lot is, so you hope, in theory, a lot of these athletes will have spent a lot of the year rowing together. And I think, you know, when we're talking about crews sort of stepping above and beyond and maybe outperforming what's expected, a lot of that is often down to the fact that these women and girls will have just rowed together so much, and I think that's where you see crews sort of finding that element of free speed in what is otherwise a really taxing race. It's just finding that cohesion and being able to, you know, lift and let go of the boat in the same way at the same time.
Got crew 102 there, I think, that is on the screen, which is St Michael's Rowing Club Limerick. So thank you very much, St Michael's, for coming over from Ireland and rowing with us today. There's quite a bit of international competition. We've got people from all over the place: Sweden, Ireland, France, Germany. We've got, I think, a German crew as well. Yeah, it's really great that we get so many people kind of coming over and, you know, kind of building the. I mean, look at that. That's just an absolutely brilliant shot of all of the people who are kind of, you know. I mean, it's your weekend. This is what you've decided to commit your time to, and all of the time that has led up to this.
Absolutely. And if you're slightly confused at why some boats look to be going in the wrong direction, that'll be because they have, in fact, already finished and are rowing back to their docks or, you know, pontoons, putting the boats away.
I'm assuming that you're going to leave us at some point so that you can go and celebrate another year of winning. So that's 10 years now of Leander.
Yeah. So congratulations to all those women, because, you know, It's never easy. Whoever, you know, is placing in the top 10 of these crews, it's not easy for anyone. So, yeah, to everyone racing, well done.
No, You're absolutely right. It's not easy because it's not just how intense this race has been, it's been all the work that's led up to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to bring you a couple of more results, if you are just watching this passionately and don't want to look at your phone, in terms of the university crews, I feel like there was a little bit of an upset there. Cambridge have kind of moved down the rankings slightly further than I thought they would, but they did come away with that university pennant, so that bodes well for them in the upcoming boat race. But then we had the Cambridge B boat come second, followed by Edinburgh in that pennant race. So
that is very exciting. And that Edinburgh crew, we said, didn't we, looked really strong coming through, so hopefully they're happy with that.
No, I think they definitely will be. That they clearly have had a really successful season given their Bucks win. I think they won Rutherford and Tyne New Year's Head up in the northeast, so they're probably building towards some pretty exciting stuff when it comes to the regatta season. It's interesting because the Brooks the Brooks blades are what we're used to seeing up at the top on the top of the podium, and so yeah, maybe this is the year that Brooks gets beaten out by some different colours.
Oh, you never know, do you? Of course, Brooks, they've had a bit of a turbulent time recently, haven't they? But I think despite anything that's gone on sort of administration wise, one thing that you know for sure is that group of women are still training their, well, I'll refrain from using
quads
promiscuous language, but yeah, they'll still be training really hard and working really hard as a team, and there's a lot of power in that, so I'm sure this won't be the end of them.
And maybe this is what will cause them to come out on top, is just that little kind of kick up the glutes that will spur them on to then kind of coming out on top in races further down the season. Just a gorgeous shot there of Hammersmith Bridge. I mean, it's times like this where you realise that it is actually really worth hanging out in London. You know, when it's grey and all the fog that we've had recently, it's not been the most enjoyable time, but just seeing the kind of the sunlight dappled on the water, it's a good time to be alive, eh?
It is instant serotonin boost.
Well, we've got someone saying they don't know anything about rowing, but they've been told to look for boat number 247
at about 1:15 p.m, but these numbers look quite low. Well, Yepper 11, 247 will be coming down, but you're right, they were still in slightly low numbers, so hang tight, maybe make yourself a cup of tea or a coffee while you wait.
Oh, Isabel New, I also can't wait for the Cuff Stadium's composite crew. There seem to be quite a few composite crews coming from the Durham colleges. I know that there's a Hatfield Mary's crew as well coming down soon. And it's just really nice to see colleges that spend most of their season competing against each other really coming together so that they can put their best foot forward for these kind of big races. Who do we have here? Crew 107.
It's so hard to see, isn't it? For reference, we're just looking at the screen, but obviously it's so sunlit on this balcony, which is lovely. It makes it really hard to read the bow numbers.
But we are having a lovely time. I think if it was maybe slightly further into the year, maybe April, May, this would be optimal sunbathing.
Yeah. I think what's really noticeable as well, you know, just as we're looking, as we said earlier, it's amazing to see Olympic crews racing and Olympic level athletes racing with people who have maybe been rowing for a year or are under 18 or are masters. But I think one of the big differences that we see just in terms of, you know, diving into the technique a bit here, the high level crews, they create a bit more of a flat rhythm. So getting into if you're new to rowing and you're watching this live stream and you're thinking, what am I looking at? You want to see heads moving in unison with each other. Sort of when a head is moving out of time, generally that's going to disturb the boat a little bit. You want to see nice flat shoulders, really long straight arms for as long as possible, and of course all the spoons, that's the biggest part of the blade, entering the water at the same time. And generally that sort of recipe makes for a fast moving boat.
I think also one of those things that you want is, especially in these big boats, is you have that many athletes that look like one. It's just, there's
Absolutely.
you can't tell them apart. Any one of them could be any person just because they're moving the same, and you do see a little bit of that separation, I think, especially in the Masters cruise, when sometimes you have people who've been rowing their full careers, but really still want to give it a go, and maybe have certain ailments, different. I think my mum is currently rowing with. Probably shouldn't say this online. Sorry, Mum. It's got really bad hip at the moment.
Understandable. I do too sometimes. So no judgment here for that one. I think also for any listeners who know nothing about rowing, these boats, although they're skinny and wobbly, you are still moving quite a lot of weight. So rowing is one of those sports where it's endurance and it's power. For reference, I think an 8, the lightest that they can be is about 93 kilos. Some of these boats will be heavier because they won't be Olympic spec. Then you have your cocks, who will weigh anything over 55 kilos. So, doing quick maths here, you've already got 140, and then you have the weight of everyone in the boat. So while you're trying to make it look effortless and smooth and easy, you'll think about a leg press. You're still farming quite a lot of kilos every time you drop your legs down. So it's not easy what any of these crews are doing.
I feel like that's another thing actually that a lot of people who don't row sometimes get a little bit mixed up with. It's a leg sport. It's not.
It is.
It's a full body sport. It's probably one of the best sports that you can do if you want to be completely toned.
So get in the gym. I actually got a question recently on Instagram saying, is 40 too old to start indoor rowing? Oh. And my only answer is absolutely not, because as we said, rowing is a sport that you can pick up at any age and enjoy, get a great sort of team camaraderie from, and also get an amazing sort of physical workout from. It's great for you.
So we have a quick break in racing. I just want to give a massive shout out to 110 Weybridge. There we go. We've got a quick break in the racing here just for a 1 minute or two. I just want to give a massive shout out to crew 110 Weybridge, who are currently celebrating their centenary. Their founder, Amy Gentry, was one of the very, very first athletes to race in this event 99 years ago. Weybridge won. It was a side-by-side race at the very beginning. At the very, very beginning of all of this, it was actually once just a side-by-side race. And Weybridge won that race with a boat that they borrowed from Thames Rowing Club. So shout out to both Thames for lending their boat, and as I say, a big shout out to crew 110.
Just to go back to Eve's point about kind of ages and rowing, I think another of the really fun things is that there's actually a huge indoor rowing community.
There is, yeah.
And so when I was at Indoor Champs back in, I think it was November, December, a lot of the people that were there only row indoors, and almost every gym has an erg. If you haven't ever tried it, give it a go. Maybe watch some YouTube videos first so that you don't have the full rowing experience of a hurt back. But it's just, if you want to give it a go but you don't want to be out on these, in early morning in the winter, then try indoor rowing. There's a huge community.
Absolutely do. And I just want to give a quick shout out here to this crew number 114, I believe, which is Upper Thames, Strathclyde Park, Bedford, Black Sheep and Bristol Masters, I believe. They were rowing that boat beautifully. Looked really horizontal, really flat, really nice. So well done to them.
I think we've got a good shot there of Quinton. Ooh,
and a
something
little bit exciting
of a battle.
going on here.
Yes. See, rowing is exciting. It's not just one boat at a time. And I think that's the really fun thing about this. When you've got so many crews on the river, you will end up getting side-by-sides or sometimes a little bit of blade clashing. And you don't want to encourage that to happen, but it's
You don't, but it's exciting. And as my Cox, who coxed us in Paris, Henry Fieldman, would always say, he rowed for Cambridge as well, Cox for Cambridge, win the clash. So that involves just not letting go of your blade so as not to be sucked into a crab underwater. But it's very hard to do.
Yeah, I mean, the kind of going into the details of technique, you just want quite a light grip, don't you?
You do. You don't want to be clenching onto that oar handle for dear life. But obviously, if an opposing boat is next to you, smashing their blade into yours, it's pretty hard to keep a loose grip at risk of losing your blade. So, yeah, it requires, flexibility on the job, I guess, is what you'd say. Absolutely,
yeah. And for coxers as well, I think blade clashes must be a little bit terrifying.
Yeah, although I kind of think they love it. I'm not
It's
going
what
to lie.
they live for,
I think
Cox's dream.
secretly they love this sort of excitement. Here we have crew 117 coming down in shot, which is Putney Town Rowing Club. I think, as you can see also, I mean, doing a really nice job here, using that tail well, but just probably sitting lower rate than what some of the top crews are coming down, which of course, you know, it's to be expected. These people probably won't be training full time, you know, twice a day, 14 times a week, what have you. But that's definitely a big difference that you see, I think, as we go further down the line of these crews, is that the rate just drops a bit more, doesn't it, as we go down the line at numbers?
Just whilst we are looking at kind of crews that maybe have a slightly slower rate and you can see the parts of their stroke kind of a little bit more, would you be able to give us your kind of expert opinion on like the different parts of the stroke and what you really want to be focusing on at each point and what kind of makes the boat go?
Yeah, well, here we have, I just can't see the bow number, crew 119, Barnes Bridge Ladies Rowing Club B. Now, as I said earlier, I think what you're looking for, so the catch where you put your blade in that first sort of half of the stroke before the knees are fully down on the deck of the boat, you don't want your shoulders to lift at all. So we often say seat first. So, you know, when you're sat at the catch, your body is tilted forward, your hips are over, your weight is in your feet. You want to keep that tilted over position for as long as possible, because as soon as you lift that body, you'll have nothing to open around the back end. And crews, you know, you want to row long. You want to be rowing sort of 58 degrees around the front, 33 degrees around the pin at the back. And as soon as you open and lift those shoulders, all you can do is collapse around the back. And we talk a lot about keeping the bows high. Now, this boat in particular actually is doing a really nice job of that. You can see that bow ball got a nice lift as they pick it up at the front, and it's not digging into the water. And you know, just if you, I'm no engineer or physicist, but if you think about how something moves through water, as soon as that bow goes under it, it'll be like having a rudder on the boat.
Gosh, I feel like there are a lot of kind of, I mean, I know from a college rowing perspective, a lot of crews that should just kind of clip that little sound bite and play that at the start of every session. I feel like so much of rowing is, and even when you're doing it, sometimes you don't realise, so much of it is physics.
Yeah.
Which I think is why, I mean, I don't know what you studied at university.
Nothing physicsy. I studied English, so nothing like
as
that.
As you should.
But I think what drew me into rowing initially is the fact that, yes, it is really physical, and yes, there's a lot about angles and there's sort of numbers that you have to hit, but it's also something it's almost like dance, I think, in that way, where it requires this massive physicality, but you can't disturb the run of the boat. So if, you know, we call them choppers, if you're just getting in the boat, whacking your blade in the water and absolutely sending it as hard as you can, you're not necessarily going to be going as fast as you may want to. So it's always this really difficult balance of getting all your power down but doing it in a way that's almost elegant, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. I quite enjoy kind of pattern spotting when it comes to things, and the two things I've really found are you get a lot of people who are in STEM that come into rowing. I think the
absolutely
kind of
you do,
that, not rigidity, but you know, you can really figure out exactly what it is that you need to do, and there are lots of numbers involved, so I think that drags. But you also get a lot of people coming from musical theatre. Now, I have the great benefit of being a biologist who did an awful lot of musical theatre.
Love it. This is why we're getting on.
Yes, absolutely. And it just, you're so right about the dance. There's the rhythm is, I think, almost one of the most important things. You know, if you're training in a crew that is not training for kind of international competition and you just want to have a good time and kind of do it well, I think the most important thing is just being in tune with the other people around you and being able to move with them.
Yeah. And you see it on the international stage, right? You'll have really different styles of rowing that can all win Olympic medals. I always think the quad race in Paris was a great example of this, because the British women who obviously won gold and the Dutch women who have had some good friends in that boat, I think there couldn't really be two more different programs and two more different ways to row a boat, but they obviously both go really fast. So I think that's just a testament to what you're saying of, if you do it together, it's generally okay. It's just when you get those anomalies, and you know, not for a lack of effort, but when you haven't quite got that crew meshing together very well, that's when you start to lose speed.
Absolutely. And I think especially if you watch novices rowing together, the best boats, they're not always the ones that kind of look the best doing it, but they look the same doing it. Like it's the same brand of chop.
Yeah.
And, sometimes it can really make it work.
Yeah, it can, absolutely. And it's what's really cool about the sport. I guess, I don't have a good enough eye to notice it in running, but I'm sure there's a similar element where there's got to be lots of different styles of technique to doing that, and people who run slightly differently maybe have slightly different rhythms to it. But there's, as I say, there's more than one way to skin a cat. There's more than one road to Rome, that sort of thing.
Absolutely. I always think when it comes to kind of differentiating rowing styles, whenever I see the women's crews come over from the US, for Henley Women's and for Henley Royal, you watch them and it's like they're going to war. Whereas you watch the British team and it feels a lot more kind of. Now, for anyone from the US, I am not saying that you are inelegant at all. You guys are really fantastic at rowing, but it's just a very different style. I think that, and obviously you know this better than I do, but the British women, they look like they get to the start line and it's something that they're doing, yes, against everyone else, but for themselves, whereas it looks like the US team is going, like, they're here to win. They're here to take names.
Yeah, and I think it's something we talk about a lot, like row your own race, keep your head in your own. Like, rowing is not a combat sport as much as, it may seem like it when you're clashing blades, but essentially you're in your own lane or you're in your own time trial, and what other people do won't really affect you on a 2K course. Bit different here doing a head race, but you just need to be doing the best that you can do for every stroke of the race that you're in, and what the girl in a different crew is doing, it's none of your business.
That's the thing. And obviously when you're doing kind of like 6-lane regattas, you kind of have to keep an eye on them so that they're not overtaking you, but as you say, it's about you getting down as fast as possible, because if you start getting kind of faked out by the people on either side of you, that can really throw your game. Yeah,
and reactive rowing is never that good, I don't think. So stay in your own lane, keep your head in it, and if you're in a cox boat, that's what's so great about having a cox on board, is they can really help do that in just giving you the race plan.
Yeah, it kind of comes back to that rhythm point, isn't it? Is that if you see that someone is moving through you slightly and you start to pick up the speed, or you start to go doing this, it's a team, unless you're in a single, it's a team sport. And even in a single, you've got such a huge team behind you to get you to that place in the first place, that you really have to kind of, it's about what the crew is doing, and it comes back to that, are you doing the same thing as everyone else?
Yeah, it absolutely does. Just having a look at this bow number here, I believe 142.
Oh, I think 144, that is the pink and the green of Oriel Kensington Rowing Club, which is actually, I think, just a little bit across from us.
Oh, so they're on their home stretch.
Yeah, shout out AK. I bet that they are really kind of pushing off the support from their men's squads and any of the rest of the crew that aren't in these boats. It's really great to be rowing on your home stretch of river, because you can just, you've got the markers that you are... that you can push off, that you practice with every day.
Absolutely. And it's so fun because probably you've got family and friends out to watch you as well.
Absolutely.
So you can show off to them a little bit.
So I just want to say thank you very much to Eve for joining us today, who's got to head off back to the busy life of an Olympic medalist. But Eve, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, and an amazing job to all the crews that have raced, and good luck to everyone who's still coming down the track.
Thanks so much, Eve.
You want to jump on? You sure? Okay. Do the. Oh yeah, and then these are like, it's pretty. Oh, thank you. They're falling apart. Oh well.
Just bringing it back to some of the crews coming down. That looks like bow number 150, Agecroft Rowing Club B. This is now the challenge category. So we've had the Masters, we've had most of the Open, although if you just saw the orange coming past on the screen, that was Lee Rowing Club. Yeah, so just in terms of what is coming up, we've got challenge, we've got a lot of the pennants. If you look at the draw, so the draw is where you can see who is rowing, what number they're at, and what they are racing for. you've got a lot of people in this challenge category, but then you've got a lot of different pennants. You've got the club pennant, the academic pennant, the provincial club, and so it's all very confusing, especially for the secretaries, trying to put things in if you're not completely sure what it is that your crew is supposed to be doing. But yeah, so a lot of people won't be racing to win this because, you know, as we've said, there's only one winner, and especially with the likes of Leander on the roster, you're not going to, but you could be in contention for those pennants. So here we are, a little bit of a battle paddle between...
I think that's York City Rowing Club, just keeping their bows in front there. York City Rowing Club A, so
and then I
provincial
think
club there.
City of Cambridge is that, followed quite quickly by... who is that? Might be Leeds.
You can see there another one of those sort of tricky situations for the coxes to manage. If you're overtaking, you've got to kind of pick which side you want to go round on. Ideally, try to avoid the clash of blades, or as Eve was saying, win the clash.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure that you've had a little bit of experience with that in your time, but can you comment on whether or not it's what you yearned for, a little bit of clash?
Can neither confirm nor deny.
Now we've got coming along 155, the Mortlake Anglian and Alpha Boat Club D. So again, fantastic just to see the depth of squad that these clubs have in terms of being able to field that many eights, especially from the women's side of things, where traditionally there haven't been as many women's crews as there have been men's. Crew 161, Warwick Boat Club A. So this is the first of the Warwick Boat Club crews just making their way down. They're looking pretty tidy, I have to say. When you get kind of into the middle of the hundreds and then kind of further on, you often expect the racing to drop off a little bit, but it's incredibly impressive that these crews still look so put together, especially because, as we said, this is a 6.8 kilometre race. That's a lot of time to be rowing, a lot of distance to row, and even though the conditions are pretty blissful today, by the time you get to Hammersmith Bridge you have about 2 kilometres to go, and so you've still got a lot to go, but you've had so much behind you that you're just exhausted. So it's brilliant to see. I mean, look at that, that's fantastic, kind of just blades in all together, very controlled.
I think that's the thing we see every time we're here on the Tideway for one of these big head races. The standard across the board of rowing is so high. I think perhaps with the advent of video, I suppose in the last few decades now, but people being able to see their rowing has mean that everyone, no matter your size and your sort of physical potential as an athlete, they row and their skill level, they push that to a really high standard.
Yeah, you're so right. We've got crew 163 there. I think that's City of Bristol Rowing Club, just making their way down. Again, I just find it really wonderful that you get such a spread of people. You've got all of these clubs. You've got people with full-time jobs, people with full-time studying. Some people might be retired and rowing in the Masters crews, or their whole professional career might be rowing. And so it's just really nice to kind of have that variety of people.
And it's a real commitment, of course. Pretty much everyone here being an amateur athlete to make that journey. We get some crews from abroad and from the other end of the country, and it's a big weekend for some of these crews to travel down here, do their training, do the race, get back up. It's a real commitment to the sport to spend your entire weekend down here doing the race.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. It is your entire weekend because you have to come down on the Friday at least, just to make sure that you're kind of able to have a little bit of rest and to get ready and go into the racing. And then Sunday, to be honest, is a little bit of a write-off.
Absolutely.
You're icing your legs or you're kind of soaking your legs, and you're just trying to kind of refuel, because this is a very, how shall I say, it's exhausting.
It is indeed. Harder for a rower than the cox.
Absolutely not. You've got brain fuel,
Seeing a few chants in the chat here. Cuths. I'm not sure that's your favourite Durham College.
Well, do you know what? Actually, there was a really lovely kind of Cuths-Hatfield friendship in a couple of the years when I was rowing. They just, we kind of always end up on the same side of the draw. We'd always end up kind of racing each other in the final, and maybe my optimism comes from the fact that often Hatfield would win those face-offs, but it's just really it's really nice to see these college crews out here, and I think the difference between this is just very impressive. We've got AK on one side. I think we have a little bit of a composite of maybe I think that was Tideway, Scullers, Trinity Hall and Kingston, so crew 171 and crew 168 really just doing their thing.
I think that might be a crew from Liverpool University on your screen just there.
I have to apologise to all of my friends at Hatfield. I did in fact yap over your boat coming past. Huge well done to that composite of Hatfield College and St Mary's College. Henry Hayes, the coxswain that boat, was an absolutely fantastic coxswain, actually coxed us to victory a couple of times, including my last ever race for Hatfield, Durham Regatta. He is fantastic and so is clearly bringing that talent to the Tideway.
Well, congratulations on your Durham Regatta successes. Another tricky course up at Durham to steer, I believe, the Coxes, getting through the narrow arches of the Albert Bridge.
Gosh, yeah, Albert Bridge I think is the narrowest rowable bridge in the UK, potentially.
I think the world or Europe or something
God,
like that.
well,
so it's claimed, yes.
I mean, it's claimed a lot of boats. There's a great spot that you can sit and just kind of watch the clashes. It's not great when it's your boat, but, it's a good spectator sport. Now, that is...
I think that is University of Birmingham Boat Club B on your screen now.
As I said, I have a bit of a soft spot for the Birmingham crew. They really just field a lot of very impressive athletes. And who is this? Crew 177, University of Warwick Boat Club A. So we had the Warwick City Club come past a few boat numbers ago, and we've just had the first of their university crews go past. University of East Anglia Boat Club A. I don't know much about their programme, I have to say, but I know that I think they have to deal with a lot in terms of weather, so they are probably very used to rowing in far worse conditions than we have today. It's starting to pick up the wind a little bit. There's a little bit of biting cold, but I think at this point in the race, especially coming under Hammersmith, you will just be kind of so warm and kind of ready to go that they probably aren't feeling it.
Yeah, no, I don't think you'll be feeling cold with the sun shining on a day like today, and actually it's probably a little bit of wind with stream. The water is not too choppy at all. It's relatively nice racing conditions out there. It could be worse. Certainly.
Yeah, brilliant racing conditions for crew 178. That is St John's College Boat Club A, the A crew from Durham. Followed quickly by, I believe, that might be the Yellow Blades of Leeds, but...
Like you say, we get a whole flotilla of Durham colleges making the trip down here to race each other on the Tideway and look to claim those bragging rights as the fastest Durham college. I
mean, you'd have thought at this point they'd just hire a minibus altogether, but I think that hasn't quite occurred just yet.
I think you'd need a whole fleet of coaches, wouldn't you, for all those athletes.
You also might have to have a mediator on board. Crew 184 on the screen there, that is the C crew from City of Cambridge Rowing Club. Doing an absolutely stellar job, I must say, and a lovely little view of Hammersmith Bridge there and all of the spectators that have come out to show their support.
Yes, it can be a real boost sort of as you come under Hammersmith and you feel the crowd above you and the cheers. A real boost, but you've got to remember, of course, that Hammersmith still 40% of the race left to go, so you don't want to quite start emptying the tanks there, but it is a boost coming under each bridge, feeling the support, feeling the spectators there cheering you on.
That was a lovely close-up just there of crew 181 Tyne Amateur Rowing Club C, and they're followed quickly by what looks like a Bath crew and the University College Durham Boat Club A. So Castle College Durham, as known because they live in a castle.
They do indeed.
Not all of them though, which I think a lot of the freshers are quite upset to hear when they first get to Durham.
No rivalry there at all.
No rivalry. Well, no, there couldn't be a rivalry because we always won. Sorry for anyone from Castle. Love you guys. You're always lovely to us. A little crew 187, 188, Wolfson College, Cambridge, and University of Exeter.
Who just got blazed this past Lent, Wolfson College, I assume.
Aha! Oh, very exciting. So they're coming off some success there. Oh, I just love it when you get all of these crews side by side in a head race. It's just so exciting. I mean, crew 186 there, that's Collingwood College B. I mentioned earlier, Collingwood is probably the crew with the most success and the most depth in their squad, and they do an absolutely fantastic job on the college rowing scene. But we've got their crew 190 who seem to be coming out on top. Derby Rowing B.
Always adds a bit of excitement to your race, having those overtakes under Hammersmith. And I've got to say, all these side-by-side crews we see coming past, the Cox is doing a great job of managing that and keeping good racing lines, but avoiding clashing, avoiding what will slow you down and cause an argument. This looks like it might be a crew from Leeds Rowing Club.
This is, I think, University of Leeds. This is their first A crew. They're going for Challenge Academic. University of Leeds, they usually have some quite impressive rowing there. I'm not sure if they're considered one of the powerhouses when it comes to kind of British university rowing.
I think a programme that's come on a long way in the last few years, and you could see them fielding lots of boats today.
There we have the classic orange of Lee. I say that because Charles, their president, really doesn't like it when anyone talks about the orange of Lee. But hey, if you're going to have such a standout colour, you've got to expect...
You've got to rock it, haven't you?
Absolutely. Own it.
City of Oxford, I think, and we've seen a few crews enter. This is their C crew, so going for the Challenge Club pennant. It's great to see, like we're saying, some of these clubs fielding so many crews, but in each club, whether it's the first boat or the fifth or even ninth boat, you can see the distinctive style of the club and a really high standard of rowing in every crew across the squad.
Just a shout out from a videography standpoint to Alex and Tess, who've basically been standing stock still and just moving a camera, trying to follow some incredibly speedy crews down the course. Considering the wind is starting to pick up, they may be in need of a little warm drink at some point, but they're doing an absolutely stellar job and are currently focusing on crew 197, which is South College Durham Boat Club A. Now, South College are quite a new club because their college was only started, I want to say about kind of in the last 6 years or something like that. So they didn't have a huge amount to build on, but they've done a stellar job of building a squad and building equipment to be able to come down to these big races.
Absolutely, very impressive to see them coming from not existing a few years ago to fielding crews here at Women's Head.
Now, I believe that just past that was that Cuths Aiden's composite. Someone in the comments, please correct me if I'm wrong. But I think that was crew 200. They've got a very distinctive kind of dark green with a chevron on, and they row the Batmobile because their shell is black.
We've just seen a few shouts in the live chat for Cuths there. Cuths number 200 on top. Yeah, Cuths.
Woo! I think Scarlett Barris there, she, I believe, was a Cox for Cuths when I was on the scene. Thank you, Scarlett. Yes, it was Cuths A, not the composite, but the Cuths composite is coming up sometime soon. We've got currently on the screen crew number. Will we get a bow number? Oh, it looks like they've lost their bow number, actually. So...
Some
dangerous
shenanigans
game.
In the marshalling area,
yeah,
perhaps.
Some serious shenanigans there. Okay.
I can see 207, that's Grey College Durham, so these Durham colleges are coming thick and fast.
Absolutely.
Glad to have an expert on Durham College college, what am I
college
saying?
colours.
College colours here
yeah,
today.
Yeah,
with us in
absolutely. Every time I see any kind of uni suit that is black, white, and red, I get a little bit of a kind of a fear. I'm like, is it grey? Is it Collingwood? Are they coming from me? And then I forget I'm actually on dry land, so just probably calm down there.
Oh dear.
Now, who's this?
Could that be?
I think that's Barnesbridge Ladies. They've got a lovely kind of bright dark blue. I always love it when crews really kind of sync up their
kits down to
yeah,
what t-shirt they're wearing, if they're wearing leggings, even the hats and the socks.
Shout out to my women's captain in my last year, Claire Gooch, who I remember sitting on the start line in Newcastle. It was December, it was snowing, it was -2, and I said, I'm not taking off my coat. And she said, Sasha, we are getting pictures and we're all going to look the same. And I was like, do you know what, Claire? Anything for you. And I'm glad that she did. The photos were great.
They do say as well, it's been scientifically proven that crews in matching kit row faster.
Free speed.
So.
Free speed, absolutely. That's crew 210 there on the screen. Gravesend Rowing Club A for the Challenge Small Club. I think they might be one of the first small club pennant competitors that we have seen so far. So thanks so much to Gravesend for coming down. I think there was some distinctive yellow there on the screen, which I'm going to assume was Van Mildert Boat Club, also another Durham college.
They're being chased by, well, certainly in the starting order, St Chad's College, so yet another Durham college.
It looks like St Chad's might be slightly further behind, because that there on the screen, I believe, was Swansea, but maybe Chad's were just so quick that they've left us in the dust.
So Swansea perhaps making a few overtakes there, starting number 217 and being up there with 211.
Big shout out to the proud grandma from Buckingham, whose 2 granddaughters are racing today. I hope they do incredibly well, and big up to the Swans from Swansea doing a stellar job. We've now switched to Norwich Rowing Club A. There is some really lovely bright yellow, and it looks like might that be a composite? There's someone with a different uni in the middle of the boat.
Certainly not a composite on the draw, but perhaps it is, or maybe someone's just forgotten their kit.
Yeah, maybe she went, you know what, yellow really is not my colour. This is my style, red and black. Happens to the best of us. That looks like another AK vote. Let me check the draw to see if I'm not. Yep, Oriel Kensington. I really love their kit, I have to say. I think that the pink and green is fantastic. It always just makes me happy when I see it come on the screen. They're doing a stellar job. They did a fantastic job at at Britchamps last year. I know they really weren't expecting it, but I think they came top 3 and potentially got the gold in the women's 8s at Britchamps.
That is very exciting for them.
Yeah, I remember them coming off and going, oh my gosh, we just didn't expect that. We haven't prepared anything. But yeah, huge congratulations. They've had some really lovely success in their boat club recently. I think that is, we're moving in the dark blue away from Barnesbridge Ladies and to UCL Boat Club. Big shout out to UCL. Again, a fantastic academic programme as well as a fantastic rowing programme. So it's really exciting to see what they can kind of put on display here on the water. Now that's an exciting little matchup. We've got crews 225 and I think 222. So they are Cardiff University Rowing Club and Imperial College. That's Imperial College in the white boat and Cardiff in the black boat.
So that'll be an exciting race for Imperial, being crew 225, overtaking 222 there, having to navigate their way around a few crews, but it certainly adds a bit of excitement, a few events to the race as you come onto and past and push away from each crew. I'm sure the cock's managing that very well, making sure they get the line they want and get the other crew out of the way as they come past.
I am going to start quizzing you in a second about your experience on
goodness.
these courses. But just before I do that, a reminder that if you are watching and you want to know how your crew is doing or just what the results are from some of the exciting races that you've seen so far, go to the WEHORR results page and you'll be able to find the live 2026 results. And you can just keep track of not only where your crew finishes, but kind of where they were in terms of their... kind of the different markers on the course.
Absolutely, yeah. They've got some great live times going up there, and if you want to see our photos, which are uploading live as fast as we can, and race video clips, do check out our website, www.allmark.one. We've got 2 photographers on both the bridge and the bank, and a videographer shooting some lovely 4K slow motion video clips up at the start, so do check those out. We have packages available where you can get all the photos and the video in one package, which is great value, especially for a crew of 9. So do check those out. Photos will be flying up as quick as they can.
Rory, I'm sure, is out there dancing in the sunshine and just having a fantastic time.
Absolutely, no, I'm sure he is.
Now, I'm so sorry you will not escape my questioning, but you've had some experience racing on this course.
Yes.
Would you care to share with the audience what that experience is, kind of where you've raced it, when was the last time you raced it, and kind of just how you felt, especially at this point in the race? You've got 2K left, you've got quite a tired crew at that point. You know, how do you keep them going?
So, I suppose in terms of, I've done it, I've done the school's head a few times. I've never actually raced the women's head. The one year I was supposed to, it was cancelled. I think that was just before COVID hit, but it was a cancellation due to stream, sadly.
Happens
and
to
I've
the
raced
best of us.
men's head a couple of times. I suppose when you start out as a junior and you might be starting a little bit further down the order, you do a lot more kind of overtaking if you're a quick crew, or possibly being overtaken if you're not. And as you move higher up the starting order, you're generally looking to have space around you and just row your own race. I suppose in terms of sort of coxing rounds here, you know, you've still got 40% of the race left from Hammersmith, so you want to just keep the crew in their rhythm, doing the same thing every stroke, sticking to their pattern and sort of that cruising speed, that base pace. But as you come around the bend, you know, you'll always get a slight change in the wind direction. It's just managing that. If it's you're coming around into a tailwind, it's keeping it really sharp. If it's coming around into a headwind, you're making sure the wind doesn't get under the blade and pull it away from them. It's just keeping them on the same page. You know, the legs are going to be cooked at that point, but if you can keep everyone's blade going in and going out at the same time as a cox and just keep them singing from the same hymn sheet, that's how you can get the most out of them, I think, through a long race like this.
Some fantastic phraseology there. I can imagine what it must have been like to be in a boat with you, really kind of just motivating on. We had a cox once who would sing to us going up to the start line, and you know what? It got us going.
It does help. Sometimes you've just got to,
Yeah, and I'm sure
plug
that
the music in.
Absolutely. It looks like some of these crews might have some kind of Pirates of the Caribbean theme songs going through the mics, just to kind of get them through that last stretch of river. That is crew, I believe, 237. Just waiting to get some bow numbers up so that we can see. I mean, another glorious shot. You've got the orange there of Lee. We've got the stripes. Who are the... that is crew 229. So...
Antrim Rowing Club, eh?
Yes.
So another small provincial club.
And 239 just coming into view there. That is Jesus College Oxford Boat Club. Now, funnily enough, you'd probably expect a few more kind of the Oxford, Cambridge colleges to be here, but I think because they do so much rowing kind of in an intercollegiate level, they sometimes don't have the British rowing points within their crew to be able to race these boats. I know that in previous years when WEHORR, the draw has been culled slightly so that it's only crews with experience who are racing because of the conditions. A lot of those Oxbridge colleges have been kind of chopped off, and it's not to do with their experience at all, but just kind of those points to make sure that they can deal with this. But it's brilliant to see them out, and a lot of the Cambridge colleges, I'm sure, have their athletes up in the blue boats that did so well earlier on in the draw.
Yes, absolutely, and of course we've been seeing so many of them, a huge contingent from the Durham colleges.
Go on. Yeah, no, it's been really brilliant, especially as a Durham alumnus, to come back and kind of see that that kind of carries on. Do you know what I mean? It's just that they keep going and they're doing so well, and it's brilliant to see them kind of continuing to come south and put on such a display. And all of the colleges, when you know them well, they've got a real personality of their own. So
I'm sure a lot of those rowers will have taken up the sport at university in their college and are now racing on the same piece of water on the same day as Olympic medalists as well. So it's so fantastic, as we've said, but in a sport like this where you can be doing exactly the same race, exactly the same course as an Olympic medalist within a few months of picking up an oar for the first time.
It's hard not to be inspired to kind of keep going, and I think that's the thing. A lot of people give rowing a go, and then some people don't want to stick around, but those that do, I think it just keeps getting better and better. And better for crew 240 and 243. That is Putney Town Rowing Club C on the far side, and then New College Boat Club on the near side. I don't know whether that's New College.
It will be New College Oxford.
Yes.
I don't think there is a New College Cambridge.
I don't think so. It's hard. I feel like they've got a lot of duplication going on now. Right, 247. Lovely. Are those polka dots?
Was I right, Alex? Isn't there Maudlin but with different spellings? And there's Queens and the Queens. I know. They know the different Queens.
Have they both got a Christchurch, I thought?
No, I think it's Christ's Cambridge and Christchurch Oxford.
Yes,
yeah.
I feel like you can very, very easily make that mistake. At least I have done. I think
they both have a Pembroke as well.
Yeah.
Alex, you're not giving us good facts here.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the racing.
I think this is Lancaster on the screen right now.
So Lancaster University B, it looks like.
Got some really good rowing from these. If you look at the 5-seat in that crew, if you don't row, and so you count from 8 to 1, from the person who's closest to the cocks to the person who's furthest away from the cocks. So the one right at the back on their own there, that's the bow. We love bow seats. And the kind of, if we go through, actually, this is a good shot. Alex, let's stay there for a second. Brill. Okay, you can really see all of the rowers. Now, there are kind of segments when it comes to a boat, aren't there? Especially in it. You've kind of got the two bookends that are there to kind of keep technique going and kind of motivate everyone. And then you've got the engine room in the middle. That's 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now, the engine room is a great place to be because you are kind of less affecting the balance of the boat, and you can really just focus on putting as much power down as cleanly as possible. I loved the engine room. But, we won't, I think, go into chopping on 3 seats today because this is a great day to be a 3-seat, especially if you're a beginner. Go out, live your life. You have very low expectations on you.
All I can say is if the boat isn't balanced, it's all bow pair's fault.
Oh, we've got bow pair slander. Gosh. It's always bow pair. Okay, well, if you are in bow pair, my deepest apologies. I bet that you are fantastic. Put some comments in the chat.
I think all the bow pairs are balanced in the boats today, so they're doing a great job.
Absolutely, they are. Yeah, if you are a rower or a cox, do comment in the chat. Tell us about what position you've sat in the boat, what cruise you've been in. We'd love to interact with you. We love to hear from what's going on with you guys down there back at home. Now, this is a crew that is looking like it's getting a little tired, I think, in this final bit. This is St John's College Durham Boat Club B. I think colleges just in general at a university, when you've got a good university team, colleges, they have a little bit less kind of intensity of talent because most of the kind of school rowers will go up to the university. And so when it gets to this point, especially because we've got a river that is like 1.8k to row on, our head races are 1.8k, our regattas are, I think, about 600 to 700 meters. So this is a real whopper of a race to be taking on. And it doesn't matter how much training you do. It's really hard if you're not doing head races of that magnitude constantly.
Absolutely. I'm sure there'll be a lot of athletes sort of balancing probably multiple sports and other societies as well, and sort of taking part in all different aspects of university life as well as rowing. And rowing is such a demanding sport at the highest levels in terms of the demands it makes on your time.
No, it absolutely is. And so again, a huge shout out to anyone who is rowing today, anyone who has been a part of one of these athletes' journeys here today. You know, without you, we couldn't make it happen. So the team is greater than the boat. And congratulations to everyone for all of the stuff that you balance, especially boats. That's, I think, Southampton Cole Porter's ARC that's just gone past there, and we now have eyes on. Ooh, potentially a little bit of overtaking now. We've got crew 265, Brasenose College Boat Club A, followed by 268, First and Third Trinity Boat Club A.
They are Cambridge, or Trinity College Cambridge, so a bit of Oxford-Cambridge rivalry there between the two different colleges. Yeah, go for it. Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
So you might have noticed that that Cambridge College.
Yes, Trinity College Cambridge, but the boat club is First and Third.
First
Trinity,
and Third, yeah. Because I believe, now I might have been led seriously astray by one of my rowing friends here, but I believe that their second boat led to the creation of the bow ball because they had a real accident. You know, we know that Cambridge and Oxford have their bumps, and I think that there was an accident at some point where in their second crew a cox was very unfortunately killed whilst racing, having been impaled on a boat, and that is where bow balls come from. So always make sure to check your bow ball, keep everyone safe, but that is why that's why it's First and Third, to commemorate the second. Oh, massive shout out to 266. That is City of Sheffield Rowing Club A. They're doing a really stellar job. They look like they're getting a little bit tired maybe in the latter stages of the race, but this is a real test of kind of endurance and determination, and they're doing a great job just kind of pushing through.
And we shouldn't forget for the crews racing down now, they will have been out on the water for a long time. They're potentially on the river for 4 hours, rowing up to the start, waiting in the marshalling area, doing the race and rowing back. Might even be more than 4 hours for some of these crews. So it's a real sort of test, just as an outing to go out there. You spend the time on the water. It's not like being one of the first crews to set off, where you just row up and come straight back.
Absolutely, and we've got a little bit of some tension here. I think that's Barnesbridge Ladies and I believe University College Oxford, their B crew coming past. I think that the Oxford College is just putting in a bit of a shift and kind of moving through that Barnesbridge Ladies crew.
It looks like it, yeah. Made a couple of positions from the start order. Just
a reminder, if you would like to see timings, any timings will be published on the WEHORR website. So if you go just Google WEHORR results, and you can see the live 2026 timings and see where your crews are placing. Crew 271 there on your screen, London Otters Rowing Club. They are racing for Challenge Medium Club and are having a lovely row down.
So I think we can bring you a few provisional pennant winners from the results. So Cambridge A, of course, taking the University pennant. I think a 1-2 for them in the University category, in fact.
A really fantastic result. Their coaches will be incredibly happy with that. It was really lovely to watch their some of their fixtures back in the winter, and I think that they've just got such a lovely camaraderie in the squad that I'm not surprised if that's kind of what they've been gunning for. They want
absolutely, yeah. And I'm sure on to bigger things in a few weeks' time as well.
Yes.
For them. Edinburgh taking third in that category, so of course the winners of Bucks Head. The small provincial club pennant, provisionally so far we have Derby Rowing Club as the winners of that.
Ooh, we've got another bit of a kind of a one. Well, we've got Derby Rowing Club A in first and Derby Rowing Club B in third, with Hereford Rowing Club A out there in second for small provincial club pennants.
Of course, probably a few more crews racing for that pennant still to come past us here.
In terms of provincial clubs for the seniors, it is City of Cambridge Rowing Club A that takes that pennant, followed by Nottingham Rowing Club A. Shout out to Lucy Holgate, doing great, babes. And Canterbury Rowing Club A in third.
For the medium provincial clubs, St Andrew Boat Club from up in Scotland are the provisional winners of that, followed by Royal Chester Rowing Club A.
Oh, fantastic. It looks like another great season for Royal Chester, and hopefully building to bigger things again in Henley Royal and Henley Women's.
Yes, and it's certainly the first time in a while for Royal Chester that they've had 2 senior women's 8s at the women's head and had a sort of squad of the size to have 2 8s out all the time. So great stuff from them.
Just flitting back to the screen quickly, we had a lovely look at kind of all the crews rowing back to the start line, but here we have crew. I think this must be the Headington second 8, crew 278. Yeah, Headington School Oxford Boat Club C, actually. You can see the girl in 4 seat looking like she is really giving it her everything. That is an empty tank right there.
Yeah, but a really, really strong looking crew at the junior level. I think some very tall and powerful athletes in that crew. So, very impressive for the 18s and under.
Yeah, they were followed just there by the Sir William Perkins School Rowing Club A, and it looks like we're moving back into the kind of the school and junior section. So really exciting. I hope there are lots of parents on this live stream. We will be hopefully bringing you all of your children's glory.
I think that might be Wimbledon High School on your screen now. So a lot of these crews, I'm sure pretty much all of them will have raced at the school's head yesterday. So doing this course twice in one weekend, that's a big ask, but they're really stepping up to the mark here. And like we saw yesterday, just the standard of rowing across the board in junior rowing is so high, and it's a credit to so many coaches that bring these athletes up from never having touched an oar before at 14 years old or so in a few short years to rowing at such a high level and racing. Absolutely,
and also Juniors are only allowed to start sculling, I think, is it at 14, 15?
You're allowed to start sweeping when you're 14 or 15, so J15 year as it's.
So some very competent crews here who will not have had as many years behind them at all, just for lack of ability. So for some people this might be one of their first seasons in a sweep boat in an 8.
It might well be, yeah. A lot of people will take to the sport slightly later, maybe a year later or something, because they do other sports and then come on very quickly in such a short time. I think it's another crew from Headington D on your screen here, but a very high standard of rowing across that squad, as we've come to expect over the years, a real powerhouse of schoolgirl rowing.
Yeah, it's, again, just wonderful to see clubs with so much depth that they can field this many athletes.
Yes, I think that might be Bedford Girls' School on the screen now.
Yeah, you're
just
so
coming
right.
under Hammersmith Bridge.
We're getting some news from our sources that the last boat of the race is coming across the start line. So last crew starting their 6.8 kilometre slog, if you want to call it, or race right to the end. So we're getting, as Wilford said, crews in the last kind of 40% of their race.
Yeah, so it'll be probably 10 to 15 minutes and the last crews will be with us. So
we've got crew 285 here, Putney High School Boat Club A. This will be their home stretch of river. They will hopefully have a lot of supporters, friends and family waiting to kind of cheer them on along the course to just kind of keep them going.
Absolutely. Who might this be? Is this Scottish Argonauts? Is it 288?
I think it is.
I can see the blades. They look pretty Scottish.
Yeah, the blades do give it away ever so slightly, don't they? Again, just brilliant to see, especially the younger crews who have travelled so far to do this. A real determination and a resilience there that I think will probably last them a lifetime.
Absolutely. Is that another crew from Henley Rowing Club?
I believe that is a composite of Emmanuel School and Camford School boat clubs. I think, again, school's very familiar with this stretch of river, will probably have a lot of support along the banks. Barn Elms Rowing Club there, 290 just making their way down. Now, I feel like I should be more familiar with the history of Barn Elms, but I believe Barn Elms is a state school rowing programme, isn't it?
I think it's a rowing club run by the local authorities, so it's certainly not one school on its own, but they're based just along the course here, just after the sort of mile to go marker on the course. Barn Elms are. So yes, it's great to see a lot of junior clubs as well as the schools racing here today. Of course, we see a lot of the schools and independent schools fielding big programs, but also a lot of clubs that are open to juniors from all schools and state schools as well.
I think it's a sport that is so niche that it's quite hard to get familiar with it unless you live near a rowing club or know someone who rows. So it's just brilliant to have these programs out there that really kind of offer, especially juniors, a chance to enter into the sport and sometimes give them a bit of a kind of a push into the university world as well.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a sport that can be very costly, but also if you live near a river, you can join your local rowing club and get so much from it for very little expense as well. So absolutely, if you can get to a river, do check out the sport if you haven't already.
I think this is another of those junior club programs as opposed to school programs. That was Canterbury Rowing Club D that just passed on your screen, and we now have, well, that looks like Tideway Scullers given the unis. We'll give it a go. That is crew 280. Yep, Tideway Scullers School B. They seem to be racing for time only as opposed to racing for a pennant.
So perhaps had some substitutions there, but looking like a really strong crew. It can be difficult. I suppose most people enter the race in a category and sometimes they end up having to change to time only because of substitutions and other changes, but they get a chance to see against the clock how they compare against every other crew that's out here racing today.
And I think realistically you will be racing for time mostly in a lot of these crews because unless you're kind of the Leanders and the Headingtons and the Cambridges of the world, or you're entering a really small pennant category, it's quite unusual for for amateur rowers to win those pennants. So it's really brilliant they're still able to race for time and kind of get a measure of where they're sitting compared to other crews and where they can work from for the rest of the season.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And it's been great to see the sort of increase in the number of pennants and the Women's Head bringing in the small and medium club levels in the last few years, but absolutely there's a small number of pennants to go between 327 crews, but every place you can make up in that finishing order, every place you can move up from your starting position and sort of hold year on year is a massive feeling of pride for these athletes and these clubs year on year, and trying to sort of hold that position in the head ranking order year on year is what these athletes train all winter for.
Absolutely. And actually, if you're unfamiliar with how WEHORR is structured, where you sit in the start order is based on how your crew did the year before. So if you're wondering why we had crews like Headington, who is a school crew, starting up in the top 30, whereas most of the kind of the junior crews were starting in the kind of very late 200s, that is as a result of their performance over the last few years. So clearly a stellar program right there.
Absolutely, yeah. And it can sort of, because of course the river is dropping, the stream is coming through, it can work to your advantage or disadvantage to be earlier or later in the start order. Generally they try to time the race start so that the quickest crews get the fastest stream, but sometimes you get the opposite, and being further down the starting order you can get that little boost from the stream speed just increasing that little bit.
I think we've got a little bit of a face-off there coming underneath Hammersmith between Vesta Rowing Club H on the near side and Nottingham University Boat Club D. So as we said earlier, Vesta have fielded the largest number of crews from any club this year. Huge congratulations to Vesta. Thank you for keeping us in business. But to have an H crew is wild.
Absolutely, and I think a fantastic club, Vesta. They've had some crews that have performed at really high levels on both the women's and the men's side, but also a club I think that's known for having a great sense of sort of community and fun and a very good social side to it. So a great club based down on the Putney Embankment. I think a popular place to go for a drink after the race as well.
Absolutely, I hear they've got a fantastic bar. Now we've got some shenanigans happening again. We've got a few bow numbers missing, but yes, who is this on our screen? We've got bright yellow and it's crew 307. Thank you very much, Alex. Minerva Bath Rowing Club A. Now I have to say I've been thinking of moving to Bath in the next couple of years, and so I'm always quite intrigued to see how their boat clubs are doing, because I think if I'm living near a river there is nothing that can stop me from getting back in a boat.
Absolutely, I think it's quite a nice stretch they row on, certainly a beautiful city to live in.
I believe this is actually their university team coming across here, the lovely kind of bright blue and yellow of the, I don't know if this is their name, but of the ducks, as I call them, because they have fantastic wacky leggings that just have little rubber ducks all over them. A bowless crew, but I believe that is Bath. Now, coming across here, this is not a crew who have decided to drive drunk. It is Oriel Kensington just crossing the racing line to head back to their boat club and get off the river. They have been on there for quite some time, so I'm sure they will be welcomed with drinks and cakes galore. If you are anywhere near the Hammersmith embankment, I would recommend popping down to Oriel Kensington. AK have a fantastic bake sale on today. Gets quite choppy around these times when you start having lots of crews coming past and kind of heading back into their boat clubs across the racing line. So just a huge thank you to all of the volunteers who are marshalling the crews and in stake boats and just kind of, taking care of these athletes.
Yeah, making sure everyone stays safe, timing the race, running race. A huge amount of work from a huge number of volunteers goes into organising these events, so absolutely thank you so much to all of them who are out there on the water and in the race control office and such today.
Yeah, no, these with almost all of these events, they just wouldn't run without help from volunteers.
Absolutely not.
So
no.
If you are ever at all interested in volunteering, whether it's at WEHORR, whether it's at Bucks, or kind of any of the rowing events across the season, the big ones, get in touch with British Rowing or AllMarkOne, or just anyone that get in touch with JRN as well. Junior Rowing News is a fantastic place to write for. So yeah, do get in touch and see how you can extend your commitment to the rowing world. To Dorothy in the comments, the written results are on the WEHORR website. If you go onto the Women's 8's Head of the River website and click on their results tab, you can find all live results on their 2026 results page. 3:15 or 16 there, I believe. It's either Swansea University or Cardiff University. We've got another crew. Gosh, lots of shenanigans happening on the river today.
Yes, I think we are in the midst of the beginner 8 category. So.
So 3:16 we hear have just gone underneath the bridge. That was Cardiff University Rowing Club D. So yes, the beginner category might have something to do with why we have a few missing bow numbers. Potentially they went awry in the marshalling at the start of the race.
Some really strong looking beginner crews here, and you can see every crew really attacking the race, really putting the power down and just giving it their all under the water. And some really impressive rowing for athletes who probably have only taken up rowing in the last 6 months or so as beginners. Really impressive to bring up that level of skill so quickly.
Absolutely, and I think if you're now just so excited about women's rowing that you want to know where you can see these women next, I think especially with the beginner categories, it will probably be in the Henley I can't remember the full title of the category, but the Henley Beginner Fours is where you often see a lot of the women who've done well in kind of beginner categories and eights go forth.
Yes, the development
Development,
fours at
that's
Henley Women's.
it, yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Always a big category, a lot of competition, and just brilliant to see people kind of at the start of their rowing careers
Absolutely.
who, go on to do great things. Speaking of great things, we have crew 323, Ride Rowing Club, and we are entering our kind of final boats of today.
So that's their, it's their A crew, so I'm guessing their only crew entered today, but in the beginner category, so great to see them taking on the track at WEHORR here today.
Maybe this is the start of a stellar programme, and we'll see their A crew really rising the ranks in maybe the provincial clubs next year.
Absolutely, quite possibly.
That looks like it could be the University of Exeter Boat Club D, but again, we have no bow number to go off, but we do have crew 320 there, Globe Rowing Club C. Now, if you are not very familiar with rowing, you can see that there's a little bit of splash coming off there. Now, splash often happens there, if you just look there, when the blades are not picked quite up out of the water enough, and so they kind of skate along, and obviously that slows you down a little bit. It acts a bit like a rudder, because you don't have the same aerodynamics, whereas you've got here a really good model of a kind of a beginner crew. There is a little bit of skating across the water, but they're doing a pretty solid job of not only staying in time with each other, but also really kind of extracting their blade efficiently and putting it back in nicely. And that is crew 322, I believe, the University of Exeter Boat Club D.
Yeah, I think a really good grasp of the fundamentals there from a beginner crew, and some really nice clean rowing from athletes who will have only been in a boat for a few months.
Crossing underneath now, I believe that is the light blue of St Andrew's Boat Club, but I might be yes, I think that is St Andrew's Boat Club. And guys, I think that might be it for the day. We've had a fantastic day of racing, wonderful weather, and thank you so much for to everyone for getting so involved, and for keeping us on our toes in the comments. If you are looking for results, please go to the Women's 8s Head of the River 2026 live results page. Thank you, Rory. He's, I think, about to put the results in the chat.
So thank you everybody for tuning in on this very sunny afternoon. If you would like to have pictures of this event to immortalise what could potentially be your very first time racing on this stretch of river, then all photos and videos will be over on the website www.allmark.one. Excuse me. So go over and head over there and have a look and see what's available. Pictures and videos they'll be uploading over the next couple of hours, just as our photographers come in and start to upload.
Do you want to jump on a bit? Yeah. Okay, we'll get through this. I think we're all set. Right. Just budge into it a little bit.
How do we look?
All good? Hello, yeah, so thank you very much to everyone who's tuned in and shown their support for the crews racing today from all around the world, and for all the comments you sent in. I think it's worth just saying thank you as well to all the athletes for putting on such a great display of rowing today, and all the umpires, volunteers, marshals, organisers, etc., for all the work they put in to make this race happen. So much goes into it that you just don't see as an athlete or a spectator, so thank you so much to them. I want to say again, we've got our photos and videos going up online to our website, www.allmark.one, Got a photographer on the bridge, photographer on the bank, and a videographer up at the start shooting some wonderful 4K slow motion video clips, all of which will be available as soon as possible. The photos will be flying up live onto the website now, and the videos will be available later tonight. We have some packages where you can get all of those things for one fixed price as well, so do check those out.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
want to wrap up a few things. So quite a big win for Leander today. Do you think that was quite expected with the number of national team athletes in the crew? Or
I mean, I think as we heard from Eve, you can never expect it because if you have the expectation that you're going to win, you leave yourself open for loss. And, you know, it's hard coming in as a defending champion knowing that you've only got loss if you don't win again. But, I mean, I think they did a spectacular job. I know from my thoughts on the race, I thought that they were probably going to come out on top. They've just got such a fantastic breadth of squad, and the athletes in there. I mean, you've got Lauren Henry from the women's Paris 8. It's hard not to believe that they're going to come out on top. I think that the biggest surprise, definitely for us when we were watching the race, was the UL club, the UL boat that came out in second. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Really, really impressive for a club to have made kind of a jump of that magnitude in the starting order, especially surrounded by the competition and a university crew as well. So I think they can really be very proud of the work that they've done. Obviously, Molesey coming in third, they have a very impressive lineup today as well. So I think that was kind of to be expected. I certainly thought that Leander and Molesey were going to be in that kind of top three. I was, again, as I said, surprised that Thames wasn't up there as well, but I think they did a stellar job, and you can look forward to in a couple of weeks seeing the Thames Women's 8 rowing at men's head of the river.
that is exciting. I did not know that. Well,
Absolutely,
we will be bringing you
wow.
that live from this rooftop again, as always.
Yeah.
I mean, a pretty big display from Cambridge in the university category as well. Do you think that bodes well for the boat race in a few weeks' time?
I mean, historically, if you look back over the past few years, it's hard not to think of Cambridge as a crew on top. And I think their A crew definitely was expected to come in and put on a very good show, stay in the top 10 crews, and come out on top of the university pennant. I was a little bit surprised that their B crew had just the level of grit to also move up into the second position of that category. And I think it was Edinburgh that came out in third. That was pretty anticipated because of their Bucks win. And I think, Cambridge are clearly going to be a crew to watch at the boat race. But we won't have an idea of how Oxford are going to do until we get to the day. So.
No, exactly. Like we said earlier, there's a bit of tension because Oxford's women's blue boat is over in Heineken instead of here. So while they might be quite pleased with the results, only they can tell us how they're actually feeling, in the lead up to the boat race.
And speaking of Cambridge-based crews, I believe your club, Alex, City of Cambridge, I think they overturned Nottingham today to win the provincial club pennant.
They did win the provincial pennant.
Are you very excited for that result?
No, genuinely. Obviously, I haven't just found the time to row much this year, but I think they've been putting in a lot of work. They've been training very hard, and I think they're going to be super proud of this result. The club has always been trying to say that, no, we don't only want to be the best in Cambridge, we want to be, a force to be reckoned with in the rowing world. So they're trying to break out the cam, and it certainly looks they are doing that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think they are really making a name for themselves. I know that I came to the river today knowing that they were a crew to watch. I had a look at their lineups before I got here just to kind of, see who they were going to be fielding. But I think they've really cemented themselves as a club to be contended with.
Absolutely. I'm sure we'll see more from them at the men's head from the other side of their squad in a few weeks' time as well. Thank you very much for watching again. We will be back here in 2 weeks' time for the men's head and then the vets head. And next Monday should be at Dorney Lake for the All Sport Junior Sculling Head as well. So do tune into those, cheer on your crews, send in your commentary information. Thank you again for watching, and do check out our photos and videos online at www.allmark.one.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Sasha, for joining us today as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
Thank you for our team today. So we had Wilf, Alex, Tess, who you might have heard her voice behind the scenes as well. Callum was taking photos in the back. Kit was on the bridge on Hammersmith taking bridge photos. And of course, the one and only Rory Cruikshank taking your videos. So if you're interested in some 4K slow-mo shots, they should be ready by tonight. And we look forward to sharing those results with you.
Yeah. And happy WEHORR.